Hi, I'm Clint from Easy Gains.
Hi, I'm Chris from Easy Gains.
We're just going to have a little chat about why EZDisc. So I think I'll start off with, Chris, is, why would you add a disc wheel cover to a disc wheel, especially the EZDisc one? I think first off it's because by adding an EZDisc to your actual rim depth wheel, we fit them to all different sizes, from 20 mil up to, is it 86 mil, the Planet X ones, isn't it?
The Planet X 86, but we'll go up to 90 mil, or sometimes even the Planet X.
We've got the 101s, isn't it, which is 108 mil. We can fit to those as well. Disc and rim brake, 650 size wheels, so that's the smaller size, which they don't actually make disc wheels for. Recumbent bikes we've also got into, track bikes as well. So why do you actually want to put one on there anyway? So obviously it's one of the most key aerodynamic areas that you can improve on the bike. I see a lot of people spending like 10 grand on a bike, 5 grand on a bike, then I'm really shocked when I realise they haven't got even a disc wheel, not necessarily an EZDisc, on the back of their bike, when they've spent so much money. They've got a top end suit, really good helmet, but then they don't have a disc wheel on the rear of their bike.
So for the amount of money you can spend on an actual disc wheel, you can be looking in the sort of thousands of pounds price range. You can get cheaper ones, but then they come with really cheap hubs.
That's right.
Disc wheel cover, super light for the price point that it's got and the standard. They're really, really good. You get the same effects as a normal disc wheel, and then you also have an option at a race to put it on or take it off. Sometimes you get to a race and they'll say, sorry, but you're not allowed disc wheels in this race. And then if you've travelled abroad with a disc wheel, you're a bit stuck. Whereas if you have a disc wheel cover, you can take it off if you've already set it up on the wheel when you get there. It opens up the market for all triathletes. If you're a triathlete that hasn't got a lot of money and is getting into triathlon, a disc wheel cover is a perfect option for you. Sometimes we get people that have sort of Canyon Speedmax bikes that spend 7-8 grand plus on their bike, but then won't fork out the money for a disc wheel because of the price. Disc wheel cover, such a fraction of that price, it's 100% worth it, and you save 10-15 watts. It's just what's not good about the product.
And the other thing is what we've done on 3 different occasions. We've actually been to Silverstone wind tunnel, which is the top wind tunnel in the world, and we've actually compared it on different occasions against different disc wheels, top end disc wheels as well. I'm not going to name the manufacturers of them, but there were people present and they witnessed what happened, and it was an independent engineer on the day as well. But the EZDisc actually compared the same as a top end disc wheel. So I think you brought out some really key points there. If you're buying a cheaper disc wheel, it also comes with a cheap hub. So one of the factors within your disc wheel is how well it also rolls. So you don't want a cheap disc wheel with a cheap hub, because then it's not going to roll very well. So you'd be far better off having a half decent rear wheel and then adding your EZDisc to that, because first of all, it's got better bearings in the hub, it's going to roll better. And on those 3 different occasions, when we've actually compared it, it compares the same as a top end disc wheel. One of the good points actually just recently was James Teagle, who's a professional triathlete and came 7th in the world in the 70.3 last year, said to me, he used some of our bits. I think did he use the chainring guard?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, or before he actually becomes sponsored by us, which I don't mind saying. So before he actually becomes sponsored by us and actually would use the EZDisc on his rear wheel, he said to me, it's fine, I don't mind using it, but this game is about seconds, not minutes. I need to make sure that your EZDisc compares to my disc wheel, otherwise I can't go ahead with it, because I'm a professional athlete, this is my career, this is what I do. So I then took the dive. I was confident in the EZDisc was going to work out well and comparable to his disc wheel. So we booked a time at the wind tunnel 2024 in March. We compared it to his high-end disc wheel and it actually come up even, so there was no difference on it. From that point there, James Teagle then said, okay, I'm happy to go ahead with using your EZDisc, because it didn't put him, it's his professional career at stake here. A lot of these races now aren't won by like 5 or 10 minutes. They're won by a matter of seconds, and the whole industry in the sport is just getting faster and faster.
Yeah.
There's probably a lot better ways to actually spend, if you do have a couple of grand to buy a disc wheel and you haven't had a good bike fit, you don't have a good helmet, you don't have a good aero suit. There's better ways to spend your money, because the EZDisc does compare to a disc wheel. It's the same, so you could just spend your money in other areas and become faster then. The difference is as well, we actually tried to make it out of carbon to start with, but it was like too flimsy, too fragile. It did not work out. Unlike other wheels, you can use this to train on, you can leave it on your bike all the time, different weather conditions. And unlike the carbon version, well, the carbon disc wheel as well, it's not fragile. That was a pretty hard whack. Just doesn't damage. So you can use it on all your training rides as well. So another thing that I say is train as you ride as well. So I don't think it's kind of in our minds that you only put on a disc wheel whilst you're racing, but is that really kind of good ethics behind it?
Well, I think you always, if you race, you want to race knowing that the equipment you're racing with is going to be up to the standard, and you want to kind of get used to that equipment. Now, if you have a disc wheel that's cost you $1 grand, $2 grand, you're not going to want that wheel on your bike consistently when you're out training.
Yeah.
If you have a disc wheel cover, it's a lot cheaper, but it's a very, very good quality. You're not going to mind as much having a disc wheel cover on your bike.
Yeah.
Because if it gets damaged, if you have an accident whilst out on the bike, to replace a disc wheel cover from a crash, it's far, far more cost effective than it is replacing a whole carbon disc wheel.
We've had a few occasions where unfortunately people have crashed and the EZDisc has been absolutely fine after it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've also had quite a few people reach out. I'd say 5 people within the last year that have had carbon disc wheels, not covers, and they've crashed, and they've actually reached out to us for a disc wheel cover to go on a wheel, because it's a much cheaper alternative.
So I think the other day, I'm just sorry, my mind's popping to something else. When I was putting on our site, I was so surprised with how many athletes we've actually got on board, professional and high-end amateur. I know we have like over 7,000 EZDiscs out there across worldwide, but I was so surprised with the amount of professional athletes that we've got on board and top-end amateur athletes. So it just proves that this is a cost-effective gain compared to the disc wheel, and probably one of I think the easiest route to saving speed and time on your bike within the market. Short of getting in the correct position on your bike and getting a good bike fit, which is also really important, your disc wheel cover, you've also got your suit and your helmet, perhaps, would you say?
Yep, definitely.
I think this actually, you said something earlier as well about being safe on the bike. There are a couple of other disc wheel covers on the market which are stuck onto the wheel. I don't know about you, but I don't really feel that comfortable with just stick on tape kind of covers. We've now had over 7,000 people buying these and not had any issues. The other thing what we've made sure that we've done is the manufacturing process for these is actually ISO accredited, which is something which Ironman actually asks parts to be that are on a bike when they're used in triathlon, and I'm sure BTF and all the other governing bodies would be in agreement with that items have to be safe on the bike. This is why EZGains has gone to the extent of even being ISO accredited. So rest assured, everyone out there, when you put an EZDisc cover on there, it's not going to fly off. It's not going to cause you an accident, which is something we don't look at, but myself, I had a bike accident earlier this year. It's something that's in my mind, and anything I can do to actually avoid that. Now, I actually taken you to a story here. So in February, Chris was like, buy some expensive tyres for your bike. And I didn't buy any expensive tyres. I bought these cheap tyres, And basically the truth is I stacked it, messed up my leg, and it's cost me like nearly the whole of this race season. So if you're going to do something, do it properly. If you're getting to the extent of getting the same performance as a disc wheel but without buying the disc wheel, why are you then going to go and buy a cheap stick-on one? Why not buy the best of the version of the disc wheel covers that compares to a disc wheel, that actually turns your wheel into a disc wheel as well? It's solid and adds to the structure. I was thinking about any other parts to the EZDisc that you could think would help people. So they're made for the disc brake and the rim brake version, aren't they?
So they're made for disc brake and rim brake wheels, and I think, as Clint was saying, when you come to the security of the actual product itself, behind the cassette here we have holes for the cable ties to go through and secure the disc wheel cover to the spokes, and then you also have the binding screws that go through. Sometimes we'll send out different lengths to just assure that you can get the best fit and the disc wheel cover can really fit to the wheel best possible way. And then we also have these stickers that we put over the top to hold those, not necessarily in place, but just give it a smooth aerodynamic kind of tip to going over the screws. And then we also have the tape to go around the edge. Once again, smooth aerodynamics is really important to us. You'd get that on the disc wheel, so we also want that with our disc wheel covers. There's just nothing, like, everything's so solid with the product. The fact that it's got 2 points as well that hold it onto the wheel just makes us feel a lot happier that it's a really safe product to use.
Have we actually talked about how much time it can actually save you? Did I talk about that at the start?
We said about the watts, but not the time.
Okay, so on average you'll be looking at around about 3 minutes over 100k. So this isn't a figure which we pulled out of the air. With over 7,000 people, we've done indoor testing, wind tunnel testing 3 times to confirm it. Also James Teagle as well confirmed and switched over to us rather than his disc wheel company. All the outdoor testing, on average the feedback that we're getting from people, I'm going to revert to 90k because a lot of triathletes for half distances will give me a kind of time feeding of around 2 minutes 30 to 3 minutes. So it's going to cost you £200. If you're doing a full Ironman, you could save up to 5 minutes. Now, I think a question that someone else said to me that it doesn't really help me because I go a lot slower. Well, the thing is, as long as you're traveling over 20 kph, 25 kph, if you take longer on your Ironman bike leg, it's actually going to take more time off it. So in theory, time-wise, it's more beneficial for someone who takes longer over a triathlon. The other thing, the amount of people now that are fitting them to road bikes as well, I think just everyone works so hard getting your diet right, getting your suit right, getting your shoes right, spending money in all these different areas and everything, and the easiest gain that you're going to get is the EZDisc. It's, as it says on the tin, it's gains without the cost.
100%, and it's even something that we've now had a lot of gravel bike kind of people say.
That's really cool.
We were kind of a bit skeptical of how well it would work with gravel, and then it's been used at some really high level gravel races. And now we're getting a lot of orders from gravel riders, and it's been such a success in the gravel world recently as well. So it's kind of another area that we're now focusing a little bit more on and opening up to.
Yeah, no, I'm guessing from that kind of really puts a stamp on it, because if people are using it for gravel bike racing, you can't really get a surface that's worse than that. And normally, it's not normally a short distance, it's normally like 100k what they're kicking out, and some of them are like 1,400 kilometers and they're traveling like 100k every single day as well.